Hi, all. We are going to be covering something we started today called the area model when we solve for multiplication problems. And I wanted to just give you a tutorial because it's not intuitive. And as a parent, I always appreciate it when my son's teacher sends these home so that I can support my kiddo if they're stuck on something. Just know also that it is new, so it's not something that is expected to be mastered yet. However, by the time we start doing 2 by 2 digit multiplication, we should have it mastered in 2 or 3 by 1 multiplication. So I'm going to start by showing you the strategy that kids used last year. It's called partial products. So a product is the answer to a multiplication problem. So if we have a problem like 23 times 5, we ask kids to break the bigger number up into its parts. So into its tens and its ones. And then we use those parts to create easier multiplication problems. So we multiply the 20 times 5 to get 100, and we multiply the 3 times 5 to get 15. And then we take those partial products, the 100 and the 15, and we add them back together to get our total solution. Now, it might seem counterintuitive to do this because it takes a lot more time than teaching them the simple tricks that we learned of stacking and multiplying that way. But we're trying to get them to understand the concept itself, that when you split into partial products, which is what you do when you stack, you're multiplying the tens times your factor of 5, and then you're multiplying the singles times your factor of 5. So they're pretty solid in partial products. Now we're going to talk about the area model. The area model uses the same idea of partial products, except that it uses what we call an area model. So an area model means a shape. In this case, these are usually rectangles. And when we find the area of a rectangle, we multiply one side by the other side. So if I was doing the same problem, 23 times 5, my shorter side would be a length of 5, and my longer side would be a length of 23. And so we get the kids again to break this up into its parts, so 20 and 3, and we actually break the area model up into those parts. That way then kids can multiply 5 times 20, and the area of this part of the shape is 100, and the area of this part of the shape, 5 times 3, is only 15. And then we can take those partial areas and add them back to get our total area. So again, it might seem like more work than it's worth right now, but going into the area model, when we do 2-digit by 2-digit problems, so for example, if I had the problem 25 times 13, I would build myself an area model again. It's going to have to be a little bit bigger. It's going to be more of a larger rectangle. I would, of course, have 25 on one side of my rectangle and 13 on the other. And then what I do is I'm going to break this up into 20 and 5. And I'm going to break this up into 10 and 3. And then I'm going to do all the multiplying that I need to do. So 10 times 20 We teach them the zero method or the zero trick, where they're really doing 1 times 2, and they ignore 2 zeros, so they have to tack those on to the end. Then I'm doing 10 times 5, which is 50. Then I'm doing 3 times 20, or 3 times 2, which is 6, tacking on the 0. Sorry, my pen is being a little wacky. And then 3 times 5, which is 15. Then I can take all of my partial products here and I can add them together. So 200 plus 50 is 250. 60 plus 15 is 75. And then I can add these together. And I get my total answer. So 4th grade is not all about teaching them the quick method of stacking and multiplying. It's really teaching them that underlying concept that numbers can be broken down into smaller bits. And that way we can use those smaller bits to find partial products or partial areas and then put them back together to find the full. So I hope that helps a little bit. Again, I don't expect you to be teaching them this. This is new and big this year, but this is what we're headed into. And our goals as 4th graders is to be able to do a 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication problem and up to a 4-digit by 1-digit multiplication problem, which means also 3-digit by 1-digit and 2-digit by 1-digit. So that's where we're headed. It's a big process. Expect your kids to get comments back that are maybe not all positive. It doesn't mean that they need to redo that work unless I've asked them to because they're missing something. And also expect that there's going to be a lot of frustration because kids have to be able to show the equation that they're working on, the strategy that they use. It is not good enough to just put the answer. And then, of course, make sure that the answer is clearly labeled. So you'll see a lot of that kind of commenting in assignments for the next couple months. And it's just building those habits of what a good mathematician does. So if you have any questions, just ask, but hopefully that helps a little bit to explain the 2 main strategies we'll be using, partial products and the area model.